Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. How about them Nuggets? Holy, they just spanked the crap out of the Lakers. Made me feel better about them whooping the Suns. At least the Suns won a couple of games. Sweep. I guarantee you the TV they're not happy. They were hoping for Lakers, Celtics. It looks like Miami, they win. They're going to sweep the Celtics, the Nuggets sweeping the Lakers. It was so bad that, maybe the bright spot of this, because once the Suns lost, I was hoping for Denver because, who likes the Lakers and nobody likes the Celtics. And, LeBron saying maybe it's time to retire. So maybe even more good news coming out of Denver. It's pretty impressive. I would imagine. Are they fired up there? Is the town fired up? I mean, right? This is the first time that this is their first trip to the championships.
First time beating the Lakers. First time sweeping an opponent out of a playoff series. They LeBron James saying he's retiring that's just typical LeBron wanting to suck attention.
Maybe,
right. The only reason to say it is to suck attention out of the Nugget celebration. I mean, let's face it, he likes to garner a lot of attention, LeBron. But that aside, I should have did it on the air, but I do have witnesses. I actually told a few people at the beginning of the series that I said the Nuggets were going to sweep the Lakers. I should have said it on the radio, Josh. Should have said it on the radio.
Boy, you know what? That doesn't count. You didn't say it to me, so.
But I have witnesses. I have witnesses. One of the witnesses was a Lakers fan. I was like, I think the Nuggets are going to sweep the Lakers out. And they're like, that's
I would
ridiculous.
not have bet that because the Lakers were playing well, and I thought Anthony Davis, but he's a legit big guy. Maybe he could have something for Nikola Jokic. No. The Nuggets are in the finals, and I'm sure that all of Colorado is excited about that. I know we get crazy when the Suns do. Like, it's weird here in Arizona. The Suns, they were the first pro team here. They're still probably the most popular, the Diamondbacks, okay, man, when we had Randy Johnson, maybe some people watched. The Coyotes, it's so bad, they were going to clean up a landfill. And the city of Tempe still said, nah, we don't want you here. So, they're probably headed out of town. The Cardinals, let's say, let's just say that there's a chance next year we're going to get the first pick and the second pick. That's how bad we could be. So, I guess I'll, temporarily become a Nuggets
I rooted
fan.
for the Cardinals. I rooted for the Cardinals for a couple of years. I was a Kurt Warner fan, so I I have written evidence when the Cardinals, when they went to the Super Bowl with Kurt Warner, they were barely making it. I mean, they were in a bad division, but you didn't know. But at Thanksgiving, we have this Thanksgiving book that our family does, and we have everyone write what they're thankful for. And right there at Thanksgiving, when nobody thought anything about the Cardinals, like Kurt Warner is since he's the starter, he's going to take this team to the Super Bowl and this and that. I made all these predictions. I have it in writing. Steelers shouldn't have won that Super Bowl.
That one hurts. That one hurts.
That was referee interference. I can do that on a show one day. It was terrible.
The 90-some yard pick six to end the half.
That he didn't score a touchdown on. Actually, his helmet hit the end line. Yeah. That game was rigged, but that's okay.
Late, why are you doing this to me? So anyway, congratulations to the Nuggets, and that concludes our sports for today. AllAmericanGold.com is the website. Yes, AllAmericanGold.com, 800-951-0592. They had a debt ceiling meeting last night, and the Republicans, McCarthy and Biden, and it was very professional. And I'll just say this. Listen, here's what's happening right now. For whatever reason, they want to rally the dollar because this is Wall Street's trying to let Congress know, hey, we're going to be excited for you to pass this debt ceiling. It's garbage. The whole thing's garbage. This is buy the rumor, sell the news. Make sure, do yourself a favor, buy gold and silver before they raise the debt ceiling, because as soon as that happens, it's going back to the trend. So get in, hit these dips. Again, we got some more great specials today again. Premiums have gotten a little bit lower, so these are also good things to take advantage of. We had a bunch of retailers report all the same. Matter of fact, I had to write it down here. Lowe's, just like Home Depot. Yep, same-store sales falling. People aren't spending, blah, 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 blah. AutoZone. Now, this one kind of surprised me. You know, with inflation and people now, they're saying the average person's car is 12 and a half years old. So you would think that AutoZone would really be performing. Nope. Same-store sales falling. Dicks. They beat expectations, but once again, same-store sales falling. And then Disney, round 3 of Disney layoffs started today. Another 2,500 employees going to be let go at Disney. But, Jason, the retailers are painting a very clear picture that, hey, sales are slowing. They continue to slow. All of them really almost identical, which is all year long they've been getting slower. January, February was slower, then March was slower than February, April was slower than March, right? May, so far, right? May, nobody's seen any improvement there as well. So look for more bankruptcies. And then, I got to remember, Jamie Dimon, let us know how many more banks could be under pressure. We got all that and a whole lot more when we get back. (800-951-0592). Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour on this Tuesday. The Dow is down, not a lot, pretty close to flat, down 3. The S&P's down 11. The Nasdaq's down 43. Gold's down 6. Silver's down 25 cents. This market recap brought to you by our buddies over at Y Refi, as the 10-year note continues to rise. I mean, we're nowhere where we should be, but right now the 10-year note, 3.75. That's the highest we've seen in a while. Mortgage rates now back above 7%. But guess what? Y Refi doesn't care. They're not correlated to the stock market. They don't care about interest rates, inflation. Is it going higher? Is it going lower? What's going to happen? Heck, they don't even care about Dick's or Lowe's or Home Depot or any of that. Check them out. Great rates of return. If you want to go 5 years, 10.25. Maybe you just want to take a 1-year time out. I get that. I feel that. Hey, you know what? Man, this next year kind of looks rough. I'm going to they'll give you 6.25% for 1 year. Check them out, investyrefy.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com, or 888-Y-REFI-24. And just as a side note, this is my personal side note. I like these guys because these people have filled the gap. When you hear them talk about, we need student debt relief and we need to forgive this and forgive that, really what we need is a company like Y Refi, because these banks have behaved horribly in loaning all of this money out to these teenagers and then turning their backs on them. This is where Y Refi has come in, and not everybody. Hey, listen, let's face it. A lot of people that have defaulted on their student loans probably don't need or don't deserve an opportunity, but a lot of them do, and that's where the ones that do, that's who Y Refi takes on. So you got a little bit of the greater good going on here as well. We don't need government. What we need is entrepreneurship. We need business. We need government to get the heck out of the way. And Y Refi does a great job in the distressed student loan market. And that's why they're able to offer these great rates of return. And here's the other cool part. The average person that Y Refi takes on, okay, they defaulted. They defaulted on their student loan. Chances are most of them, the vast majority of them, have a cosigner. So the cosigner's credit's ruined. Their credit's ruined. It never goes away. The average person ends up paying off their student debt in a little over 8 years. It's crazy. I know so many people, they've been paying their student loans for like 30 years, and they're still paying them. But anyhow, check them out, 888-Y-REFI-24. And Jason, we had new home sales out today, and, man, we got misled. The headline, new home sales up 4% in March, and I was like, yeah, that probably makes sense. But boy, I just hit a button, and now I don't know how to get back. But that probably makes sense. But then I read the information. They actually took March's new home sales down from 9% to 4%. But the one segment of the housing market that continues to probably do better, as we know, existing home sales are way down, has to be the new home sales. That seems to have been the best performing section of the home sale market, Jason.
Yeah, and we'll see how long it lasts, because I would expect those numbers to slowly just keep on coming down, because I don't see a lot of people that are going to be able to afford, with the high interest rates, just the payments for the homes. So and new homes, sometimes you can get newer homes for cheaper. It depends on where they're building and how you're getting them. But it's quite a tall order. How do you get 20% down, or how do you get finance for that sort of thing with the prices as high as they are and the payments being so high, Joe? So we'll see what kind of change happens as time goes on. But I would expect new home sales to not be a very happy number for the markets, let's say.
Well, 700,000 homes was the number that's annualized rate. And again, that's at least better, existing home sales, they're down like 33%, right? They're a third less. At least new home sales hanging in there. Because they can offer some incentives. A lot of the things I saw, they're like saying, hey, we'll give you a 5% mortgage if you use our lender and things of that nature. So there is some appeal there. But again, interest rates starting to rise again here. And I get it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, how can you have a Fed's funds rate between 5 and 5.25, and then we're talking about a 10-year note rising? Jason, it's only at 3.75.
Yeah. Well, what do you expect?
Why refi will give you 6.25 for 1 year?
Just one.
They'll give you 10.25 for 5 years, and the government says, well, we'll give you 3.75 for 10. Come on.
And I don't. Do you think that'll go much higher, Joe? It's up at least. It's not what it used to be.
Here's the problem. You hit it on the head yesterday. As soon as the debt ceiling gets raised, just the Treasury Department. So you got to remember, the Treasury has the checkbook. Okay, the checkbook is supposed to have, somewhere around $600 to $700 billion in it. Right? That doesn't, when you think about it, $600 to $700 billion. That's about 1 month. That's 1 month of bills. We've got an almost $8 trillion, or just under $8 trillion budget. So you need about $650 billion, give or take, in the checkbook, just to pay 1 month's worth of bills. Well, right now, depending on where you look, we're somewhere around $50 billion right now. And, of course, as we get closer, it's going to be zero, right near zero. The Treasury's going to immediately need to what? Well, we got to put the money back in the checkbook. Well, Jason, that's going to be $600, $700 billion of treasuries that they need to add to already the overwhelming amount of treasuries. So it kind of does make sense that the yield on the 10-year is creeping up, because they know, hey, you know what? Somewhere in the next few weeks, we got a lot more debt that we're going to have to sell out there. This is another thing that's actually, believe it or not, this is not good for banks because a lot of these banks are going to be forced to buy this stuff at a time when their deposits are already low, Jason. They're going to have to spend even more of those deposits buying this overwhelming amount of treasuries.
I was just looking around to see how many times the debt ceiling has been raised, Joe, and it's I don't even have the number from 2011 to current, but from 62 to 2011, it was raised 74 times. So they don't really have a lot of respect for their budget, do they, Joe? They just it's like an alcoholic or a gambling guy who can't stop gambling, right? It's just give me more money so I can throw it away. Give me more money so I can throw it away because I don't see where all of this spending and this enlargement of the government has done anybody any good except for giving us the insane style of living that America has today.
Yeah, and, you know, when you think about it, at least early on, when they created the debt ceiling, this was just meant to be a timeout where our elected officials would get together and say, hey, let's, you know, maybe we should spend a little less. Let's at least talk about it. It's turned into this big game, and really the problem is early on, if you raise the debt ceiling by $500 billion, as an example, well, that could be 6 or 7 years before they hit that number. Now, gosh, if you raise it $3 trillion, you may not even get a whole year out of it. Maybe you get a year and a half out of it. When you think about what I just said, hey, by the way, I already know the national debt's going to go up by about $700 billion when this is over, just so the Treasury can reload its checkbook, right? Just that, $700 billion. So when you think about where we're at today, there's no amount of spending. And again, when you think about the nonsense of it all, of how bad the deficits are when you're talking about, let's just say $7.8 trillion is the budget. And somehow the government's going to be roughly running a deficit of somewhere between $2.5 and $3 trillion. I mean, Jason, we're not even close, right? I mean, it'd be one thing, hey, you know what? We're running a $500 billion budget deficit on just under $8 trillion. Okay, well, that sounds like maybe you could figure it out, right? Maybe you could come up with that. But when you're talking, I mean, think about, where are we going to be next year? Are we going to miss it by 50%? Right? Are we going to have a federal budget, I don't know, of a few years from now of $9 trillion and a budget deficit of $4.5 trillion? Right? I mean, the amount of revenue needed to actually, forget about balancing the budget. Remember when I first started, they were still talking about balanced budgets. Remember that? I know that became popular in the 90s when we had the fake Bill Clinton surpluses. And why do I call them fake? Because Social Security was still running surpluses then. Matter of fact, pretty big ones. Because the baby boomers hadn't started retiring in earnest yet. So they were really getting a free, $1 trillion, give or take, of money from Social Security. Well, today, right, Social Security doesn't run a surplus. It runs a deficit. And we just tack it on to the debt. There's no lockbox of funds. But it really is to the point now, Jason, there is no real plausible way to get anywhere close to a balanced budget. I mean, things have gotten so bad. I mean, it really is. We've turned this into a non-believable event now. It's so bad. It's so big that everybody actually willingly admits, yeah, we're never really going to pay it back. Right? We're never, let's give up that mirage. And once you give that up, This is why Jay Powell and the Fed has this huge credibility problem, because we knew eventually all of that debt was going to cause inflation. We knew that was going to happen. And Jason, now we're in this scenario where it's happened, and unfortunately the Fed has two options, and they're both bad, which is, well, stop fighting it, stop raising rates, and just we're going to live with new inflation of 5, 6, 7%, or keep fighting it and send the economy into the next Great Depression. I mean, those are the two choices.
Yeah, I prefer the choice of just eliminating the Fed, defaulting on the debt, cutting 90% of the federal government out, and living a common sense, a form of America. I mean, that's what we need to do. It's a pipe dream. It ain't going to happen, but that's what they need to do. So what the path that they're on, Joe, it's unsustainable. It's obvious, and what they'll do is they'll just keep on weaving all kinds of excuses and economic terms and wave the magic wand and act like everything's fine, but it's just going to be a lower standard of living for the average American, day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year, Joe.
When we get back, Jamie Dimon talks about the health of the banking industry. I've got some good news on that. Yeah, wait, I'll tell you what that is when we get back.